Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi alladhi hadana lihadha wama kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Alhamdulillah, leo ni furaha kubwa kukutana na nyinyi tena kwa mara ya pili, ingawa leo si nafasi yangu mimi ya kuzungumza, isipokuwa ni kuwapa moyo tu katika kikao kama hichi wale ambao wameorganize jambo ambalo kama hili ni jambo kubwa sana. Saa zote Mwenyezi Mungu asema ndani ya Qur'an, waltakum minkum ummatun yad'una ila alkhairi ya'muruna bil ma'rufi wa yanhauna 'anil munkar. Mwenyezi Mungu asema ndani ya kitabu chake kitukufu, watokeze watu ambao watu hao watakuwa wakiamrishana mema na kukatazana maovu. This is the purpose kati ya kikao chetu hichi. Insha Allah, mimi kwa kuchelewa sikujua, mimi niliona ni kesho ino event, lakini nina imani kwa walotangulia tayari washatekeleza jukumu hilo. Kwa hivyo mimi ni kuwasalimia tu, sina kubwa ambalo nitawazungumzia isipokuwa kuwapa moyo katika jambo kama hili. Sina la zaidi isipokuwa shukrani kwa kupawa nafasi kama hino. Jazakumullahu khair.
Shukran sana mzee wetu kwa kutupa maneno ya hekima. Now I would like to invite one of the Muslim Union Shura Board member to give us an insight and the overview about this institution in terms of Islamic affairs. As I told you before, here in Technical University of Mombasa, the Muslim side has a very long history, and for the purpose of our attendance, the history is not supposed to be kept by the only students or members themselves, but since we know Islam has grown from a self-based to a community-based level, so it is a good idea to share what was the experience on growing the TUMSA here in Technical University of Mombasa. Without wasting time, I would like to invite my brother Abdul Khair, one of the Shura Board member of the Muslim Union in Technical University of Mombasa. So my brother, falyatafaddal mashkuran ma'ajura.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As my brother introduced, my name is Abdul Khair Osman. I've been a student here. I did civil engineering. I've been a volunteer for the Muslim Union community, and I've been an official. And then after finishing my service, I joined the advisory board. It's called the Shura Board. And up to now, I'm still in the Shura Board. The Shura Board consists of members who've been officials, are going to advise the Muslims Student Association, the officials, and most of them are non-students, the people who have been alumni. And we came up with this initiative because there is something you might need to achieve. Then after you finish, you need the legacy to go on. So if you come up with community-based events, you have programs, you don't want those programs to die, right? You want them to continue after you're done. Alhamdulillah, this has been a Muslim institution from when it had started. Its name was Miomi. It used to be an institution that was initially based for Muslims. Muslims used to come from as far as Zambia. Alhamdulillah, I came to know that when I was still an official. There's a time we had guests in our mosque here. They were coming from Zambia. They were wondering with how the students were putting up and everything. So they asked me, is this still a the institution we knew, or maybe it's a change. Then I told them it has transformed from a technical institution to polytechnic. Now it's a technical university. Then he told me the history now. They used to come and study engineering here. By the way, this is the oldest engineering institution in Eastern and Central Africa. Engineering. Nairobi University was a technical institution too, but then it was after this institution was formed. So this institution is older than Nairobi University, but then it only took time to transform into a full university because of the regional resources and the government attention. But then alhamdulillah, we tried as much as possible to keep on the legacy, even though the Muslim population here is very small. We used to do events like this, where we invite high school students, so at least they can get interest and know that the Muslim students who are pursuing careers just like any other citizen in this country. And alhamdulillah, we've pursued a lot of people. We've got a lot of people who are attending events like you guys, the high school students. They ended up becoming students in this university, alhamdulillah. And our effect in this institution, our population is very small, but then the effect we have, alhamdulillah, it's been good, and we have bigger targets. That's why we keep on advising the officials who are coming in. We mentor them. Sheikh Abeid here knows we normally, when we recruit new officials, we normally seek for mentorship. Alhamdulillah, when we engage him, we never knew he's been in our shoes. So we were very delighted when we realized he was also an official in KU. Alhamdulillah, he shared his experience with us, and it has inspired. But that team has gone. We have another team. We mentor them. Al-Muhim, leadership. Leadership is a very important thing. You don't have to be a politician to be a leader. Islam emphasizes on leadership, right? And everybody has a responsibility. If you're a mother, you have responsibility. Then if you don't have the basic leadership skills, as far as Islam is concerned, you will not be important to the society. And that is exactly what we're doing here. We're building up responsibilities, leadership. Right now you see the high school students who came here, but the Muslim students who study here, they know this event is being held, but they're not here. They finished exams, they've not traveled. They're just around. You don't feel responsible of coming for an Islamic gathering. So that is it. If you're here, you say, Alhamdulillah, Allah has put that sense in you. The sense of responsibility that it's an Islamic gathering, I have to be there. You have some sense of leadership, sense of responsibilities. That's what we've been doing here. We've been instilling the sense of responsibility. There is nobody else who is responsible of Islam. So wherever you are, if you're in the university, if you're in the laboratory, if you're in job, you're doing engineering, you're doing medicine, you're a doctor, you're still responsible. There is a part you're supposed to do. You don't just shoulder you don't have to shoulder the responsibilities of Islam to sheikhs. Now you think you've never been to madrasa, or you're not a doctor, so you don't have any responsibility of propagating the beauties of Islam. By the way, that is a theme of this event. Islam has a lot of beauties, and Islam is a complete code of life. Whoever you are, if you're a professor, you're an engineer, or you're a student, wherever you are, if you employ Islamic principles in whatever you're doing, you'll succeed. Whatever you're doing, you just have to employ Islam principles. There is no any other philosophy, or maybe any other party, or any other cause that emphasize leadership as much as Islam is doing. In the secular education, it tries to associate leadership with politics. You understand? You can't be a leader without some sort of holding a political office. You understand? And anything apart from a political office is not considered leadership. Leadership is just having the responsibility. In Islam, if you're a father, you're a leader. If whoever you are, you have mas'ul, and that makes you a leader. If you don't have the sense of leadership in you, Wallahi, there is nothing, there is no credibility you're going to have to the society. And what is worse than that? Just being in the society, wewe upo tu, wewe wala na kulala, tafuta riziki yako, yani wewe no effect to the society, nothing. You just do your khamsa salawat, alhamdulillah. But then the religion, there is nothing you're doing for the society. There is no that core responsibility. I'm a Muslim. Now, if suppose you're a Muslim, right? You're in a class where you're the only Muslim. Now you have the responsibility there. You have to show the positive side of Islam. You need to show good akhlaq. You have a purpose. So you want to be bored or you want to be demoralized in showcasing the akhlaq, the good deeds. Because you know at the end of the day you have a purpose. You want to attract these people. You want to show them that there is beauty in Islam. And once you're a Muslim, and alhamdulillah, sisters here, they're respected. Brothers here also respected. The day you put on a khamis, or the thobe, they know you're some sort of sheikh. Wallahi, they respect you so much. Because the kind of value we've given to the religion, or when they see someone who is religious, they call them sheikh. So when they see you in thobe, they call you sheikh, right? So they see you have some sort of integrity, and they respect that. But there is one thing: once you showcase your akhlaq, your good deeds, you show them that everything good you're doing has been inspired by Islam. Then what happens? Now you just have to unlock now. When you want to tell them to join Islam, it's just easy now. They've seen the good side of Islam. You don't have to tell them again. And then let me give you a secret. If you want to attract someone to Islam, you don't have to master the Bible or anything, or you don't have to engage in debates. No. Yeah, brother Zakir Naik, Dr. Zakir Naik is doing that. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given him the knowledge, the talent. But then it doesn't have to be that way. The hidayah is with Allah. You just tell them, brother, I've seen you, you're good. Why don't you just join Islam to complete? Alright? You give them an upper hand. You tell them the good of all the people I've seen. You can be a very good Muslim. Why don't you just join Islam? Now this person has seen everything that comes with Islam. He's seen you. He's seen your integrity. He's seen how you love people there, how you help people when someone has a problem. Now if you tell him, brother, can you just join Islam? It's easy. Now we normally do an event, it's called Islam Awareness. Alhamdulillah, ICCK, they help us with facilities, with the tent and everything. So we just put it up there at the graduation square. And then when the people pass by, we normally talk to them. It's normally easy. The few who are just hard-headed, they normally engage us in debates. But it doesn't have to be that way. But then the few who we say, alhamdulillah, sometimes you get up to 9 converts. Reverts, we call them reverts, we don't call them converts. Because we believe everybody is born Muslim, but then the environment influences them, and they become, kuffar. So we call them reverts. So we talk to them, but then we find a lot of difficulties. The ones who are pre-exposed to the etiquettes and qualities of Islam, it's easy. They don't engage us in debates, they just ask us, how am I going to go about it? So they have misconception. They think maybe if you're a Muslim, if you become a Muslim, there's some sort of initiations and a lot of hard things to go through. Now we just tell them you just have to be clean. You go to the mosque and you can pray in any mosque. So they think it's some sort of membership, just like them, they have churches, and when you want to join a new church, you have to register as a member. By the way, it's harder for a Christian and non-Catholic to join Catholic than him joining Islam. It's the procedures are very hard. Moving from one Christian denomination to another Christian denomination than just joining, because Islam is. So when you just educate them on the misconceptions and they become Muslim. You know why? Because they've seen, they have classmates. There's another brother who became a Muslim, and he became a very good one. Now, since the day he became a Muslim, now he tried teaching himself. It's easier convincing people who went to school. It's very easy. It's very easy. When people are educated, alhamdulillah, they have an upper hand. They try to be rational. So when you reason with them, they try to soften. They tend to soften than talking to someone who's never went to school. It's kind of hard, right? So the brother has been in the front row. So full hour since the day he became a Muslim. Alhamdulillah, we thought he's gonna draw back. The second semester he came back, he was still in the. You know, the reason why he was different from the other rivals is when we were engaging this brother, he was already pre-exposed. He had there were 2 Muslim girls in his class, so they used to do some sort of discussion, and they used to tell him about Islam and everything. But what they didn't do, they didn't approach him professionally. They didn't invite him directly to Islam. So the day when we were there, he came. They even sent him there. So he came, talked to the people who were there, and he got all his misconceptions answered, all the questions he had, and he became Muslim. Alhamdulillah. So that's what we're saying basically. Wherever you are, you have responsibility. And what brings leadership is a responsibility. Nowadays, we have this misconception where we think leadership is an opportunity. Leadership is less of an opportunity than it is of a responsibility. When you want to be an MCA, you're not looking for an opportunity. That's a responsibility you're trying to shoulder. Now, if that is how we're going to think, we're going to think of leadership as more of a responsibility and not an opportunity. Wallahi, we're going to raise a vital generation. Now, I understand if the MCA is vying for an MCA, if they have things that they want to solve in the society, now they make it their responsibility. Once they win the elections, now it's implementation. And if this guy was considering the position as an opportunity, now he'll start, playing graft, getting everything that comes his way, build houses at the beach, benefit himself as much as he can, benefit his family. You know why? You know why this is there? It's not because this guy is bad. No, maybe the person is good, but then he's not helping the society. The problem is the purpose, the core purpose. When this guy was vying, he saw it as an opportunity. He never took it as a responsibility. If this was a responsibility, whatever he's shouldering, this guy would have thought of the problems that are there in the society, and he would have tried to solve them. Now you see the purpose. If you don't have a purpose in your life, wallahi, you just lost. You understand? And that is the beauty of Islam. If you're a Muslim, it helps counter things like depressions, suicide cases. Wallahi, you'll never see someone who is religious who is even thinking of doing suicide. However much pressed they are, however much distressed they are. You know why? They have a purpose. They know they're living because they're serving Allah, and at the end of the day, that is where they're going to get their success hereafter. They have a purpose. You understand? So when you get an opportunity, don't say, if in a class, maybe you're in a class in high school, maybe you're in Form 3, you're not yet done with your high school education. If there is something going on in the class, maybe there's something wrong going on, or maybe your classmates want to harm the teacher, you have a responsibility. You don't have to say, I'm not the class rep, so nobody's going to ask me. No, if there is something wrong that is being done, you tell, brothers, whatever you want to do is wrong. It's not going to benefit you, or you're being inspired by shaitan. I will advise you not to do whatever you want to do. You have a responsibility, brothers. That makes you a leader. You understand? Now, if you don't have the sense of leadership, the sense of responsibilities within you, wallahi, you're not, utakuwa kama butu. You know the knife. What makes it knife? Knife is a sheet. It's a slated metal sheet. What makes it a knife now? It can be a metal sheet, but then it can be a knife too. What makes it? Because one is blunt and one has a sharp edge. Understand? So its name is changed. So it can do whatever each purpose might serve. But then the sheet that has been cut from doesn't have a sharp edge. You understand? It's the same sheet, the same quality and everything. But haitu kisu, it's not a knife anymore. You understand me? So be like that to the society. Be the kisu that has a sharp edge. You're human beings, you cut from the same material, but then if you don't have the sense of responsibilities, you don't have you don't have that purpose that you can change something in the society. Understand? You're nothing to the society. You can be the best doctor, you can be the best engineer, you can be the best accountant, but then no effect. You'll have no effect to the society. And then that opportunity Allah gave you, you're going to be asked. If you're a doctor, Allah is going to ask you. There were a lot of people in your class who wanted to be doctors. Then I chose you to be a doctor. That was an opportunity. But how have you used it? How have you used it to earn my approvals? Allah is going to ask you that. Now don't think the only way you're going to be responsible is when you're elected an MCA or maybe you have political position. No. In your family, you don't have to wait until you're a father. No. If there is something that's going wrong, take charge. Tell them. Even if he's your uncle, he's doing something wrong, right? Maybe he's not religious or anything. You tell them, uncle, there is this and this and this, and the deen doesn't accept this, or whatever you did is not right. It will only be beautiful. You talk to them like a parent, right? But then you address your message at the end of the day. That's a responsibility. You're a leader. Understand? So that is the beauty of Islam, as much as the leadership and my experience, the Muslim Union is concerned. Alhamdulillah, we've tried much, and this is a work we've been doing, where we have to balance our academic studies, the purpose that brought us here, and there's the Muslim community responsibilities. Alhamdulillah, finished. I've gained a lot, and I've done much, and I'm happy. At the end of the day, I've spent my university life very nice, because I've done. Now I can tell someone. Now everybody knows that I've done civil engineering. I don't have to tell anyone. But then, when I have to explain my life in the university, I'll tell them what I've done. I'll tell them the things that I've achieved, the project that I've done as Muslim here, the number of people we've been able to revert to Islam. And Alhamdulillah, I'll be proud of that for the rest of my life. And I'll be proud that I've done something in the university. Nowadays, Alhamdulillah, things are changing. There are a lot of opportunities to universities. People who even get low grades make it to university because they are TVETs and diplomas, their certificates. But then what makes you special? What have you gained from here? The degree is still the same. Everybody gets the same degree. Even if you fail one subject, you'll just redo it, and at the end of the day, you all are going to graduate Bachelor of Science with something. But then, the 5 years spent here, and maybe the 4 years, what have you done? What have you done to please Allah? How have you used your energy, your time that Allah gave you? You're educated, you can communicate in English, you can communicate in Kiswahili, even in vernaculars. So how have you used those ni'mas for the sake of the religion? Those are the things you're going to be asked. But if you think your purpose is just to go to class, do the assignments, do the cuts, and get your degree at the end of the day, go look for a job, you're wrong, brother. You cannot even concentrate for more than 4 hours in your class. How are you going to spend the rest of the hours? Watching movies? Just rumor-mongering, grapevines and things that malayani, go play PS and everything. You're responsible of your time, and you have to use it the right way. And this leadership thing is, when you know you're going to be held accountable, you'll be forced to have the sense of leadership. Now you know you have time, right? If you don't think that way, one day you will be held accountable for the time that you had. If you had a degree in engineering, yeah, you did a job, you got money, but the money is supposed to benefit you. But how have you used the opportunity that you had? Not everybody went into engineering school. How have you used the opportunity to please Allah, to give thanks to Allah? Those are the things that are going to be asked. You understand? And the beauty of Islam is that everything that you do, even the basic things, it's a responsibility to feed your family, right? But then you can get hasanat for that. You do very basic things, right? You still get hasanat. which means that is a value Allah has given us to our time. And every effort that we do, there is a hasanat with it. There is something, there is a benefit that comes with it. And if you don't think you're responsible, you don't have the leadership sense, you're not going to take advantage of this. Or maybe you're a sister, and you think sisters don't need to have leadership skills or anything. Or maybe for me to be, for me to be a leader, I need to vie for women. Right? No, sister, you're wrong. That is a politician. By the way, even a women is not even a leader, they're just a representative. They make law at the assembly. So they're less of a leaders, they're more of representatives. And the leadership, you don't need to be elected or anything. If you have the if you don't have the sense of responsibility, you definitely have the leadership skills. Allah will grant you the leadership skills. You'll have the leadership skills. And Alhamdulillah, the Muslim Union has nurtured a lot of leaders, people who are holding managerial skills in farms in Mombasa, some are lecturers. Alhamdulillah, it has shaped people. There are some other brothers who are doing a lot of important things in the society. They are driving. They are doing things that in a normal society, people of the ages, they're not supposed to do. It's not because they had a degree. Everybody had a degree who finished. But then because of the responsibilities they took up, the leadership skills they've gained, and now they are more able. They can do communication, they can write letters, they know corporate, they know how to communicate with the corporates and everything. But Alhamdulillah, whatever you do, Allah is going to show you the benefit of it, not just in akhirah or hereafter. Right here, Allah is going to blaze your time. Allah is going to blaze your efforts. So brothers, that is my takeaway from the beautiful Islam theme. Have the sense of leadership. Know you're responsible. Anything that happens, just do something about it. Have the sense of leadership. You know, one day you're going to be asked. Billahi tawfiq. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much for coming. May God bless you.
Shukran jazilan, our brother Abdul Khair, for giving us an insight about the process and the movement of the Muslim Union in Technical University of Mombasa. My dear guests, now we are heading for a break session. I would like to be patient, just there is a necessary arrangement on how it's going to be served. And apart from that, to break the monotony, I would like to acknowledge the arrival of some of our important guests here. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the attendance of the Technical University of Mombasa Chairperson, President, Mr. Jacqueline Sotiato. You can stand up, people, to know you. And beside him, there is the aspirant president. Attendance, stand up, people, to know you. Now, and there is another, we have an attendance of CBO, famously known as Red Splash. So they are here to help us with the joint event program. So, and they insist that if there is any person who is interested in blood donation, you can just visit them behind on the exit door. They are just there. If there is any person who is interested in blood donation or knowing the state of the blood, they are out there. Before we finally go to our break session, I would like to invite the manager of Pwani Foundation, Mr. Said Bidu, to come and give us some insight on how they move as association and how much the association matters to the Muslim community. So, Mr. Bidu, falyatafadhal mashkur.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Kama mlivyoambiwa, jina langu Said Bidu kutoka Pwani One Shilling Foundation. Sisi kazi yetu kubwa ni kuomba. We are professional beggars, but we don't beg for ourselves. Twaomba tusaidie umma wetu wa Kiislamu. sababu mkiangalia yale matatizo yako mengi yanatukumba sisi Waislamu. Mihadarati sisi ndio tuongoza, dropouts wa shule sisi ndio tuongoza, dropouts wa colleges, we lead from behind. Sasa sisi tunataka kubadilisha hiyo mtazamo, ndio maana tunaomba na tulirealize kwamba shida kubwa huwa ni fees, ambayo ndio inakuwa kizingiti kikubwa ambacho watu wengi wanashindwa kuendelea na masomo yao. So tunajaribu kile kidogo tunachopata kutoka kwenu, nyinyi ndio wafadhili wetu wakubwa. Kwa hivyo kama hutoi sadaka yako, ujue kwamba wewe ndio unafanya 1 shilling inabakia nyuma. Tumeweka vibenki vyetu misikitini, supermarkets, madukani, mahali kwingi, ili ile shilingi yako iwe itatusaidia kusaidia wanafunzi ambao hawajiwezi. Tumekuwa na ushirika mkubwa sana na wanafunzi watu. Nafikiri huu mwaka wetu wa 4 sasa, sisi huwa tunahudhuria hapa, na yetu ni yale kwamba hakuna mtu atakayetusaidia sisi umma wa Kiislamu isipokuwa sisi wenyewe, na tusitarajie kwamba tutapata pesa kutoka nje ama tutapata watu watakuja kutusaidia. Hapana, ni sisi wenyewe, the little that we have tutoe ili tusaidiane. Kwa hayo mengi pia ambayo tunafanya apart from kuomba na kusaidia watu kulipa school fees, that is our priority. Pia huwa tunafanya empowerment programs. Watoto wale wamemaliza kusoma, especially kina mama, tunawapatia sewing machines, tunawapatia vifaa ambavyo wao wenyewe wanahitaji during the month of Ramadan, ili waweze tunawaempower ili waweze kuwa na income generating activities zao. Na pia tukishirikiana na shekhe wetu mmoja, Sheikh Abu Hamza, siku hizi nafikiri mumeona zile shida zinatokea. Watoto wetu wameamua shule zao wazichome, so tuna visit schools kuwapatia nasaha wale watoto. Na pia nyinyi nawaomba kama union, tafadhali tunaomba mtusaidie kwa hili. Hii ni service ambayo inatakaniwa sana, sababu kuna shida shule zetu. Shule zote zile zimefunga sasa, hawakufunga kwa kupenda kwao, wamefunga sababu kuna threat kwamba shule itachomwa, most of them. Sasa tujiulize maswali, na naomba wale ndugu zetu wadogo wakija mitaani pia tuwaulize maswali. Mimi nimesikia shule zikichomwa, nafikiri nyinyi pia mmesikia hiyo. Sasa swali nauliza, mshasikia college ikichomwa na wanafunzi? Mshasikia hiyo? Mimi have never heard that. Mshasikia majumba yetu yakichomwa na watoto? Mimi pia sijasikia hiyo. So hawa watoto wanachoma shule sababu gani? Tutafakari hiyo, tuangalie vile tutawasaidia watoto wetu, sababu wao ndio viongozi wa kesho. Nyinyi mshafika hapa, kesho wao pale watakuwa, hatujui itakuwa wapi. Problem wenyewe wanasema vile tuna interact nao, problem kubwa wanasema ni walimu wao. Sasa na sisi tujaribu tuangalie, je, tunaweza watatulia vipi hili tatizo. Kwa hivyo shukran zetu za dhati kwa mwaliko huu, na tuko tayari kushirikiana na nyinyi ili kuangalia kwamba tunaendeleza mambo yetu ya dini, dawa, na pia watoto wetu wanasoma vizuri. Kwa hayo mengi, shukran jazili.